Okay, moving right along here on page 374 in your Eastern Hemisphere Geography book, Southeast Africa, Section 2, Europeans in Southern and Eastern Africa. In the 1400s, Europeans began to come to Southeast Africa. They first came to trade and later to set up colonies. Portugal began to trade with Eastern Africa in the 1400s. They wanted to control trade along the Eastern African coast. They expanded the slave trade in this area. The Europeans did. People from Europe. Southern and Eastern Africans, like the West Central Africa, suffered from the effects of the transatlantic slave trade. Constant warfare and loss of population weakened the society of Southeast Africa. Now, as we're moving along on page 374, let's talk about European rule in African countries. Many European nations spread their empires into Africa in the late 1800s. By around 1900, European nations ruled most of all the African countries. Some European colonies were founded by trading companies. Like we said at the beginning of this section, Europeans first came to trade. As they sent settlers to build supply posts for the trading centers. For example, the Dutch East India Company started a settlement in South Africa. It was called Cape Town. Here's a key term: Boers. European settlers that lived in African countries that were farmers. Boers, key term. Remember it as we move on. More European settlers came, especially when gold and diamonds were discovered. Great Britain took the colony from the Dutch in 1795. So, Cape Colony was first overtaken by the Dutch. Then Great Britain took over this area known as the Cape Colony. British settlers also moved to modern-day Kenya and Zimbabwe. So, page 374, wrapping up this European colonies taking over African countries.